match.
Welcome to Suzuka for the second round of the 2015 Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Championship here on RaceSpotTV. Wilmington along with Rachel Whitefield as qualifying has just got itself underway for our final broadcast of 2014. We will immediately take you then over to the action. And Rachel, well, this track, it's not the full Suzuka. It is the Suzuka West track, which means that we start on the backstretch, we come down through the 130R, work ourselves then onto a really weird right-hander, or into the dingers, rinse and repeat.
We are indeed, Will. Good evening. Yeah, Suzuka West, it's not often used, and it's, I think, underused. Of course, weird little double pit lane going on here to fill up the slots. Of course, this circuit does not often host this many on this configuration, but here we go tonight. Yeah, it's... Drivers are going to be heading down to 130R expecting the chicane. It's not going to come. At least it's not Suzuka East, though.
Yes, definitely not Suzuka East, which is going to be a very interesting one. Running on board then with Graham Carroll as he's working himself onto his first lap of the day. And this is what we mean. Where the bus stop chicane is, you turn right. And then you basically are into the end of the S's. This is the Dunlop curve, the final part of the Dunlop curve here. Then you work yourself in towards Dinger number 1, which comes up on your right hand side now. Then flick yourself down into Dinger number 2. Then you'll be working yourself down to the hairpin. Then you've got yourself after the hairpin, Rachel. Very difficult little chicane.
You do indeed. It really throws things off for these drivers. Obviously not on the full main circuit, but it adds a bit of spice. Certainly think though Suzuka East is West. I apologise. Is the better of the partial GP circuits we see here. Of course, we've got some amazing corners. Spoon, the Degners. We've got 130R. If you may have to make a smaller track, you'd have to include those, right?
Well, yes, indeed so, and the good point is that we don't have to deal with the craziness of the S's. For any of you who saw our coverage on Saturday night of the Skip Barber 2K Cup, actually had a road race go under caution due to 2 multi-car incidents there. Got our first couple of times up on the board, and it's Roderick Savidovic who is currently leading the way. Matanidez just moving himself up into second place. Stuart Adcock into third. As Graham Carroll works himself past the start-finish line, it's a 133.315 for him. He currently sits himself, well, actually, nowhere by the looks of it. So, let's have a look at a couple of other drivers we've got ourselves on the racetrack. It's 15th place so far for Carroll. His lap was not counted, but here is your pole sitter for the time being. And I saw Savidovic do some testing earlier on. He seems to be incredibly fast here today.
Yeah, he is. Of course, some returning characters. We have Tom Ward and we have Sebastian Job, who are really showing some amazing times today. Certainly in practice, and it's going to make things interesting. We do normally see, of course, people like 15th place at the moment, Carroll,
there we are.
who's normally up at the front. You know, he's one of our top runners. Maybe the circuit doesn't agree with him. Maybe he's just not got that fast lap in yet. Maybe that was an outlap and he's not wound it in yet. We'll see. But as it stands, it's going to be... Well, he hasn't set a qualifying time. So we'll have to wait till he does one.
There's the gap between Roderick Savidovic and Matthew Daniels. Currently sits at just over a 1/10.5 of a second as he works himself out the spoon curve down towards the start-finish line once again. So let's see, will he be able to improve on a time of 132? Yes, he does. A 132.590, increasing that gap to Daniels by a couple of tenths of a second. Let's see then where Daniels is on the racetrack, and he is working himself right now on the exit of the spoon curve. So we're right along board with him as he works himself towards start finish line. Currently sat in P2, and Tom Ward goes up into third place. Matthew Daniels, slower lap that time by over him, so he does not improve on his time at all. But here you can see the driver who's just moved himself up into P3, and that is Friction Racing's Tom Ward as he works himself down to the, well, I was going to call it a chicane. It's not. It's that right-hander that's in place of the chicane, Rachel.
It is indeed. I think this is a particularly difficult layout for these Skip Barber cars, Will. There are a lot of high-speed corners, the Degners, 130R, Spoon. These are all really quick corners normally and challenge the aerodynamic grip of the car. The Skip Barber car doesn't really have any, so it's always a car that's been tricky at high-speed corners. Slow-speed corners is pretty good. I think we should see some very exciting racing tonight.
Yeah, as you can see, Ward just actually got a bit of traffic behind him. That is the double O car, who is Graham Carroll, who's actually moved up now into P9 after setting himself his first qualifying lap of the day. But here's that chicane we were talking about. Makes life very difficult. You can see the car slipping and sliding around there. And like at a lot of tracks, you want to get yourself an early couple of banker laps in, then potentially get yourself some fresh tyres and go out to do another run. We've got all but 2 drivers currently scored on the racetrack. Those 2 drivers on pit road are Peter Cohen and Adam Sadler, neither of them who have set themselves a time so far. Just a 22 car field here today, as Ward is going to work himself then past the start finish line. Let's see, can he improve on what is currently 3rd place? Bassi is working himself up, and in fact Draskas moves up. Tom Ward down into 4th place as he works past the start finish line. No improvement on his time, but he is now down 1 position. Draskas though, there you can see him in the 87 car, Rachel, moving closer and closer towards the front.
Yeah, there's big improvement there from Draskas. This could be a circuit that really seems to suit his car. Really good time there, but as we just see, he's been pushed down to 3rd by Bullock Bassi, and that's a pretty rapid time there, but nothing against Savidovic.
Yeah, then you can see there the number 74 car doing himself a 132.755 as he works himself down into, I'm going to call it Cassio Corner for the rest of today, in that Shell Ferrari livery. And we work on board with him then as he works himself on the exit of the Dunlop curve down towards the Dengers once again. And Bullock Bassi, of course, we see him in competition on Saturday nights, Rachel, having a play as well in the Club UK and Ireland series. And it's very interesting to see the competition levels between the 2 series, because a lot of the Club UK and Ireland drivers, they don't actually race as often in official competition. But it's fascinating to see the competition levels both at the top and in that mid-pack of the 2 fields.
Sure it is, and there was some discussion I remember seeing recently amongst the UK and I series regulars about bringing in some drivers from the international Skip Barber scene, especially the 2K Cup, because some people have been questioning the talent of these guys. That's something we can certainly, put to bed, because the talent we see in this race is incredible. The racing is amazing, and yeah, it's nice to see some new faces, especially people from outside the club, because it brings a bit of fresh flavour. We see things we aren't going to expect, as we see Graham Carroll take 4/10 off Savidovic with a 32.196.
Yeah.
Damn.
He is moving himself up into 1st place, a 132.197, as he works himself out of Cassio Corner down towards the Dunlop curve once again. So pole position for the time being will go to Graham Carroll in that double O car. Plenty of drivers still on the racetrack there. You can see Savidovic, he's actually working himself out of the hairpin. Down here will come towards that chicane once again, as there you can see just working himself now into that very difficult right hand flick. And the fact that corner is in 3 parts as well just adds a huge amount of difficulty to it. Now you come down into the spoon curve. It's a beautiful sequence of corners. We'll just have a look there. As you can see, we'll zoom our camera in. Apologies there, but it's a 2-part corner. First part of it is kind of wide, then it narrows up into the second part of the corner. It makes life incredibly difficult for drivers as he comes out of it, working himself towards the start finish line. Can he respond then, potentially getting himself into the 1:31, working himself past the start finish line? And no, he won't. It will be a 1:32.855 for him, but he's on to another lap, Rachel.
He is indeed, and these tyres seem to get a little better after 3 or 4 laps. Savidovic is currently, I believe, on his second timed lap on this set of tyres, so this should be quicker than his previous lap. Of course, his current fastest lap was lap 2 of his first 3-lap stint, so this could be the magic number, Will.
It could well be. He's working himself down towards Denga number 1 once again here, and now he'll come down into Denga 2. And you can see him now just coming past our curb cam as he comes down into the hairpin one more time. And actually he's down into 3rd place because Matthew Daniels has actually now just gone up into 2nd place. However, the gap between Carroll and Daniels is just under 0.3 of a second on the racetrack. As we're riding on board then with Savidovic as he comes out the hairpin, then you can see him just breaking down into that chicane once again, flicking it to the right. Got to be careful over the curb, especially the second part. We're right into quite a lot actually of the Audi S at Circuit Park Zandvoort. How much of the curb you think you can get away with? It's going to make it very difficult in the race. In fact, Savidovic is slowing down. He took too much of that curb that time by Rachel.
He did indeed, and those track marshals quick to penalise him for that one. That will hurt his lap. Of course, pulling off now, probably going to go back, get fresh tyres. May start again, although he seems to be just getting out of the way of traffic. He could go past the start-finish line, get a really good launch. No, it's going to be ruined by traffic. He's not rejoining. May have to go around again, Will.
Yeah. It'll just be a slow lap for him then. He'll allow people to go past, try and slot back in line, but riding on board now with Matthew Daniels. He's going to get himself a nice little draft out of Spoon Curve as he runs towards the start-finish line. So let's see what he can do as he works himself towards the stripe. He's got a 132.191 to beat. He's not going to do it. Daniels down into the third place. Tom Ward, though, just moved himself up into P2 there with a, what is that, just 3/100ths of a second further back. But Tom Ward looking as though he is going to come out for another go, and this is that pit road we're telling you about as well. It's a rather interesting one, Rachel, not one that we're used to seeing. Pit road split into two different halves.
Definitely, especially if you take the wrong side. Something we normally see reserved exclusively for NASCAR, but interesting on a road course. Definitely a creative solution by the Japanese, who like to make things compact. Yeah, Tom Ward's time, incredibly fast, impressive timing there. But no one's got anything for Carroll right yet, Will. Although we do know in race pace, Savidovic is certainly of his speed, as are Simon Povey, currently in 5th.
Yep, there's the gap then. 3/100ths of a second exactly. Graham Carroll, last lap wasn't timed. Tom Ward, his last lap was a 132.227. He's got himself enough time, has Ward, to go out and make one more run. And we have seen in qualifying this season that it can come down to the last person past the start-finish line. So that is something that we will have to pay attention to. Carroll working himself down into Spoon Curve. There's a little bit of traffic. He might just catch the tail end of that draft if he gets a good run out of Spoon Curve. But that car sliding all over the place, running over that curb at the very end there of Spoon. That's going to cost him a couple of attempts for a second. It's currently Carroll from Ward, from Daniels, from Mercer, from Savidovic. And for Graham Carroll, he does not improve his time that time by. So Carroll remains in P1, but does not improve his time. Still a 132.197, the target to beat. We've got Matthew Daniels on the racetrack. He is currently scored in the 3rd place on the racetrack right now as he works to start another lap. Mark Mercer, haven't talked about him yet. He's currently scored in the 4th position. We ride along board with the Club 100 car as he works himself out of Denga number 2. A lot of opposite lock there, Rachel.
Yeah, not what you want. That's a really tricky corner. It's big curbs, and you really want to avoid those in this car. Opposite lock, not what he wants for a fast lap, but it'll save that car. More important in the race. Want to point out though, for him, Antonides, 32.655. He's a lot quicker this season so far, Will.
He is. He's up into P6 in qualification so far. He was pretty good when we first started our coverage. He slipped and had a bad season last time around. So we're still having a look there at Mark Mercer. Graham Carroll is still scored on the racetrack. We'll go back to him in one moment's time. But let's see what Mark Mercer can do as he works himself completely off the racetrack there. He slides and somehow finds a way of keeping it going. This will not be a fast lap. He's going to push wide on the exit there of the Spoon Curve as well. And he's going to try and run to the line, see whether he's going to get a lap time in. He does, a 132.639, but he does have that lap invalidated right at the last moment. Here you can see Graham Carroll working himself past the stripe. What is it going to be for him? It's going to be a slower lap, actually. It's going to be an invalidated lap for him as well. As Roderick Savidovic is back on the racetrack, and there you can see him. He's falling down now into P5. We've not got Tom Ward on the racetrack. If he wants to get out, Rachel, he's got himself, realistically, a minute and a half to do so. Get his out lap, get his tyres warmed up, and get those 2 flying laps in. Doesn't look as though he wants to do so just yet.
No, I don't think he does. Perhaps he's happy with 2nd place right now. But Wojciech Savidovic is the one that's really in danger with. What you missed on the cameras there was the fact that he got another slowdown penalty from the stewards in the same part of Degner 2. So this is not really going his way so far. This is a real problem. He just can't seem to nail that corner. In fact, no, sorry. Not Degner 2. It's the exit from the chicane on the run down towards Spoon.
Yep, and here we're going to get an onboard with him then. He's got 2 cars ahead of him. Graham Carroll, of course, pole position driver. You've got a car completely off the racetrack. I think this is going to hurt the laps of both of these drivers as they come down into the chicane. You can see the entire bunching up here. Now, Savidovic, will he try and look to the left-hand side? No, he's got completely out of the gas. That lap, he knows it's not going to be any good for him. So he's going to drop it back and allow this one to come back to him. Having a look, though, through other drivers, as we've got ourselves Matthew Daniels. They can see him in the number 41 car. He's actually now caught up to the rear of that Savidovic and Carroll battle just a little bit. Savidovic pushing wide, actually. There you can see him through Spoon Curve 1, potentially to just get himself a better line, as Graham Carroll pulls off the side of the racetrack. So looks as though that Graham Carroll might just have one more go to secure pole position. But we know this is going to be a slow lap for Wodrick Savidovic. We know Matthew Daniels right behind him, however, has just started a flying lap. So he's going to have himself 2 more laps to go in this qualifying session.
He will indeed, and that line Savidovic has been taking well. It seems to give him a better launch out of the final part of Spoon. This could be him building up to a fast lap, or it could be a rather proactive warm-up, shall we say, where he's looking for a little bit of extra time. Not sure anyone's going to touch Graham Carroll's 196, though. Tom Ward, he's, well, on pit road, he's not going to try. It's down Sebastian Job, who is, in fact, on a lap, and he's gone straight to third.
Yep, so he's got himself another lap to go as he gets very loose there on the exit of the second corner. Now he came second. In fact, he's going to put his car off the racetrack. That is going to be it. Done for Sebastian Job. If he's going to have another go, he has to leave pit road now, immediately. But only get 1 lap in. It looks as though for the time being, he is not going to have another full run. There you can see that Daniels, as he works himself then on the exit of the chicane, down towards Spoon Curve, he will come one more time. And he now is the only driver, as Job does come back out. So it's going to be a Hail Mary throw for Job. Savidovic is still on track as well. There we can see him as he works himself a little bit wide there. Again, in Spoon Curve, a little bit of a wiggle. Big slide there for him as he comes out of Spoon Curve 2. Let's get the speed chart up. Let's see what he's going to do as he runs towards the start-finish line. Currently sitting in P6. Can he improve on his time? It's going to be no. A 1:32.9. He's got himself 2 laps, arguably, to try and get himself up positioned. Matthew Daniels, his last lap was no faster either. So he is now got himself, again, 2 more laps, Rachel. It's a 1:30 lap time here. These drivers, if they want, they can try and cool their tyres down just a little bit. But for Job, well, it's going to be a Hail Mary time for him in a moment.
It will be. If he wants to really improve that, he has to do it now. And there's not many minutes left. We have 2 minutes left on this play clock. Right now, it's looking like Carroll, Ward, and Job. But I wouldn't put it past some of these guys to throw in a last-minute spanner into the monkey wrench.
Well, here we can see then Sebastian Job starting his lap now. And you can see he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Now, that will be an advantage on this first sector as he works himself through the 130R down into Casio Curve. You can see being ultra aggressive through the 130R as he now comes down into that double apex right-hander at the bottom end of the racetrack. The car ahead of him, well, let's see whether he's going to get out of the way. Of course, everyone is still on qualifying laps. As you can see, Job has closed up dramatically as they come down into the dangers. Now, this is where you really don't want to have slower cars around you too much. But if he can get himself a good run out of Denga 2, this could be the opportunity he needs to try and make a pass there. As you see, he will indeed be able to get past as the red and white car behind does not manage to complete his lap, pushing wide there on the exit of the second Denga. So Sebastian Job will actually have a clear run now towards the end of this lap. Just a couple of corners now left for him to go as he works himself down into the chicane one more time. As there you can see him coming out of the chicane, working himself down towards Boone Curve for what will be his final time. We go back on board, pushing a little bit wide on the exit of the chicane, but that is no real harm. Now, will he make it back to the start-finish line in time? It's going to be incredibly close, Rachel, here. Looking, 30 seconds left on the play clock. He pushes wide there. He might just about get away with that one, but the car, opposite luck all over the place. You need good momentum for the final run. 20 seconds left on the play clock. He will make it back in time. It's a 132.197 to beat. I don't think he'll do it that time, but I know he doesn't. A 132.3, which puts him in third place still for the time being, but he does cross the start-finish line in time.
He does, and not his best lap, but it will certainly do. Nearest time is about a 10th away from him, so he's pretty secure over Daniels. If he has anything to throw at him, which he won't, he's in the pits.
Well, yeah.
Davidovic has got no time left either, although he may, because it's 1 minute 44. He's on his lap. This could be it.
Yep, so any lap that the drivers are on as the checkered flag is out, they will be able to complete as a rider on board then with Shavidovic. Daniels is on pit road, Ward is on pit road, Carroll is on pit road. Last lap time for Shavidovic is a 132.548. He works himself out of the spoon curve, running down towards start finish line. It was a much better spoon curve for him that last time by. Does he improve as he works himself past start finish line? He does do a 132.482 up into 4th place. Not quite pole position, but improvement there for Shavidovic as he moves himself up. Job is off the racetrack. He will not improve. We now wait for Sam Bullock-Bassey as he's now got himself just a couple of corners left to go as he comes down into the chicane for what will be his final time, taking a lot there of that curve as he works himself onto the spoon curve one more time. And, well, he's one of the only drivers got left. Clark Williams, Peter Newman, Chris Simpson and Peter Cohen are the only drivers remaining on the racetrack, Rachel.
They are indeed, and final qualifying times coming in now as we have 36 seconds left for drivers to complete those laps. Well, right now, Peter Newman will not because he's only now approaching Castrol Curve, or whatever we decided to call it. He's parking. It's over.
Yeah, as you can see there, we did have Bullock-Bassey go past 132.645. Not his fastest lap, so he remained in the 7th place. Qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, for all intents and purposes, is now over. Peter Cohen works himself past the start-finish line, and that is going to be qualifications scored complete here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we can run through your starting grid for this, the second round of the 2015 Season 1 Club UK and Ireland Championship. Graham Carroll then is going to be starting today's race on pole position. Second place will be Tom Ward, with third place being Sebastian Job, fourth place Roderick Davidovic. Then in P5, Matthew Daniels, P6 will be Mark Mercer, P7 Seb Bullock-Bassey, P8 Fahim Asimedias, P9 will be Simon Povey, Rafael Draskas, rounding out your top 10. Drew Adcock in 11th, Clark Williams in 12th, Adam Dodd, Adrian Bidwell, Peter Newman, Tim Adcock, Robert Plumley, Mark O'Connor, Mark Turner, Chris Cohen, Chris Simpson and Alex Sadler round out your field. And Rachel, today I think it's going to be a fast one.
Today is going to be madness, Will. This is an awesome track for racing and these guys know how to do it. We are going to have a great time watching this race.
But it's going to be incredibly interesting out front to see who will claim the win in what will be our final broadcasted race of the year here on RaceSpotTV. As you can see, the drivers now just starting to line up on the starting grid, getting ready for excitement, thrills and spills once again in the Club UK and Ireland Championship. And of course, we'll be with you all season long for 2015 here on RaceSpotTV. Just waiting now for the final lot of your cars to make themselves down to the starting grid, and then we will get set to go racing. So there you can see then, just waiting now for the last 2 or 3 drivers to get themselves onto the grid. There you can see pole position drivers, those lights are going to go on in just 1 moment's time to get this action underway. So it's going to be Graham Carroll starting this race on pole position. The 09 car of Tom Ward will be starting alongside him on the front row of the grid. Cars waiting patiently, just letting those engines tick over. Now they come to life. Now those lights go on, and the second round of the championship will start right now. And it's a good start there, you can see from Carroll, but a good start also from Tom Ward. Very good start though by Job and Davidovic as they come down into the 130R for the first time. Of all the crazy corners to have for the first one, this is going to be the craziest you're going to see. As you can see, the cars are trying to get into line as they work themselves down through the 130R for the first time. Let's see, are they going to make it at the rear of the field? The answer to that question is going to be yes, but now they've got themselves the very difficult 130R, sorry, the Casio corner to come through, and it looks as though with 2 wide racing, everyone is just about through there. Okay, without too many issues, but out front, it is Carroll who leads, and Job, Rachel, side by side there with Ward in battle for P2.
Yeah, he's running wide well, but he might know he's backing out before Degner too. A bit wise there, but Davidovic is going to have a look down his inside. Job though in the position though for the chicane coming up. If he can hold on to that position, this is getting frantic already.
Yep, you can see 2 wide, a little bit of contact there between the number 74 car. Very good starting Sam Bullock-Bassey, but it's incredibly close as we ride on board then with Sebastian Job in that 3rd position. There you can see the gap to Tom Ward ahead of him. He's got himself a very close Roderick Savidovic and Sam Bullock-Bassey running in the 4th and 5th positions respectively. As we'll cycle that camera background, show you the view up front. But they'll work themselves here to complete the first lap of 16 here on Suzuka, and it is still Graham Carroll who leads the way as they come out of the final corner to put their first lap in the books. Looking down the field, very close racing as you've got Fahim Atinides, Simon Povey, Rafael Draskas and Stuart Adcock all pretty much sat nose to tail as we ride along board then with this driver. It's Rafael Draskas in P10. You'll notice, Rachel, these drivers, as they work themselves down to 130R, they think you don't want to take the defensive line or the offensive line. Draskas looks down to the inside, but he will stay in line for that time being.
He will indeed. Discretion being the better part of valor at this stage.
Oh, we got a spinner.
Sure, oh, yes. Big contact, Will.
Sebastian Job's involved.
Off.
Yeah, Job and Savidovic, both out of the race. There you can see them there. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one. Job and Savidovic are making contact. We'll get ourselves a look at that one then.
Big news for this one. Savidovic was assisted in this one by Sem Bullock-Bassey. He gave him a bit of a, shall we say, punt as they were coming down into the Casio corner, which sent Savidovic spinning right across the apex of Casio and just destroyed the turning in Job, who had no idea he was coming.
Yeah,
Bullock-Bassey is missing his front wing, which should be pretty disastrous for this course.
Let's get ourselves one more look then from our aerial coverage as they come down into the 130R. And you'll notice now as we'll have a look then at Bullock-Bassey coming down into the corner. You can see late on the brakes, turning around Savidovic, and then Savidovic ran nowhere to go, ran into the rear of Sebastian Job. Both race drivers classified as out of the race for the time being, but out front, what it does mean as we've got ourselves Graham Carroll with a pretty good advantage now of about 5 tenths per second over Tom Ward as they complete their second lap of today's event, coming back down into the 130R again. But we've got side-by-side racing with the wounded Bullock-Bassey there, and we ride along board with Matthew Daniels, who is going to fall in behind. Now this is the corner that Bullock-Bassey had the outbraking manoeuvre and ran into the rear of Savidovic last time by, and he's on the attack again as they come down into the triangle. Almost contact there, side-by-side between the number 33 car of Mark Mercer, Bullock-Bassey as they work themselves out the corner. Daniels currently running the 3rd place, and then 4th place for the time being is Bullock-Bassey, but then in 5th place is Mark Mercer. 6th place for Fahim Atinides, 7th place is Simon Povey, Adcock, Draskas and Williams round out your top 10, Rachel.
Yes, they do. Well, Sebastian Job with a wounded car, he is still running. He's down in 21st place, 17 seconds back. Can he make up time? Well, if anyone can, he can, but this could be too much of an ask for him. Sem Bullock-Bassey been passed already by 1. Mercer now looking to his inside as they approach the chicane leading down to Spoon. Pretty much under threat at the moment as Matthew Daniels is definitely running away from him out front.
Tom Ward, we saw him there, he was going side by side with Graham Carroll, but then completely messed up the chicane, and he's dropped himself 1.1 seconds in the space of that chicane. It just shows how difficult it can be. It's a little bit like at Donington Park, as they can see that battle P4, P5, P6, P7 on the racetrack. Under pressure is Fahim Atinides and Simon Povey as they work themselves out of the corner, down for the field. Most drivers are separated, pretty much running nose to tail as they work themselves down this very long back straightaway, well, front straightaway actually here, once again, to complete their 3rd lap. Coming down in towards turn number 1, the 130R. We ride along board with Mark Mercer as he's right on the rear of Bullock-Bassey, trying to repay the favour potentially as he works himself out the corner, getting himself very loose there, Rachel.
Yeah, very, very loose and a little bit exciting, Will. Mercer's had a few bad runs in the last couple of races. He wants a bit more success this time around, and I think that car of Bullock-Bassey is not going to really stand up to him for too long. Although what it means for Carroll and Ward running away at the front is that their 3-second lead now is going to be critical. Can these guys hold it off and just run? Of course, there's a second between the first two. Means they're both in clean air. I don't think anyone's going to catch them, Will.
No, and of course, with 2 of your big contenders put out the race, we've got side-by-side Bullock-Bassey there, and you can see Mercer coming out the corner. I think he's getting a little bit agitated there, as Bullock-Bassey was able to hold that one on the outside as they come down into the chicane once again. Bullock-Bassey running himself in the 4th position, 3rd place, Matthew Daniels, 5th place is Mark Mercer. So run themselves down to Spoon Curve once again, but now Atinides is in the mix as well. He's right behind Mark Mercer in that battle for P5 on the racetrack, and you can see there Atenides just keeping it in line for the time being. Incredibly close racing though, as you can see Mercer almost running into the rear of Bullet Bassi out of spoon curve and pushing himself incredibly wide. That's going to allow Atenides to go to this inside and pass him on that run down to the 130R. But out front, in fact, Mercer, by the looks of it, is coming on towards pit road. So we've got ourselves Mark Mercer just coming down onto pit road. He's falling down, timing and scoring. There you can see him going to make himself a drive-through penalty by the looks of it. But he does indeed come back out onto the racetrack, now scored down in the 18th place on the racetrack. The gap between second place and third place, currently 4.6 seconds. But Tom Ward, after a disastrous lap 2, Rachel, back up right to the rear of Graham Cow in the battle for the race lead.
Yeah, it's been as far as 1 second apart, and now he has the gearbox of Carroll firmly in his crosshairs. Tom Ward, he's been pretty good in last season. Some really good runs. Unfortunate technical problems for that Friction Racing team that meant he hasn't finished a few races, but certainly a big factor here. And I'll just tell you, listening in on the team radio here in the paddock, don't think Mark Mercer's too happy, and that Club 100 team are having a few moments.
Well, yeah, we saw how close he was running with Bullet Bassi. A little bit of contact was made with himself and Bullet Bassi earlier. We've got a huge gaggle of cars actually down in this mid-pack, as we've got side-by-side racing almost there between the number 16 car and the number 94 car. That's Alex Sadler and Mark O'Connell. So we ride along board then with Alex Sadler as they work themselves out of the chicane. Great little scrap going on outside of the top 15 as they'll come down into Spoon once again. And right behind, actually, there you can see a recovering Sebastian Job as he's trying to look to the outside and will complete that pass then over the number 13 car of Mark Turner as they work themselves down into the corner. In fact, Job looking very fast despite the fact he's got a wounded race car on him right now, and who would knows what he'd been able to do. He's got side-by-side racing out front for a moment there, but Crown Carroll has lost the race lead, Rachel, to Tom Ward, but he's immediately back on the attack as they work themselves down into the Casio curves.
He is attacking well, and Ward is probably going to do his best right now to stop that happening, but this battle, which we've seen close up, is exactly what people like Matthew Daniels want to see. This means they have a chance to catch these two runaway leaders, but will they have enough time? We're on lap 6 of 16. Everything's possible, but right now Carroll and Ward are doing a masterclass.
Well, here's a replay then of what happened to Graham Carroll to put him down into the second place. They can see Tom Ward right behind him as they work themselves out of the spoon curve. We ride along board then with Tom Ward coming out the corner. You can just see the around he gets as they work themselves down this back straight away. Much better straight line speed compared to Carroll. Carroll tries to go onto the defensiveness, but Tom Ward just sticks his car right down to the inside and takes over that race lead away. And he will lead his first lap of the day if he can actually maintain that position for the rest of today's lap. And in fact, he has pulled out already a 0.7 of a second advantage over Graham Carroll, although those two drivers are still pretty much separated by about 4 car lengths on the racetrack. Let's have a look down through the field once again, and let's check in on that battle for P4. P3, P4, P5, P6 on the racetrack between Matthew Daniels and Sam Bullet Bassi. The gap is now up to 0.7 of a second from Bullet Bassi to Simon Povey is about 0.6, and then from Povey to Adcock, 0.9 of a second. Adcock to Fahim Atenides is 1.3 seconds. It does look as though that Atenides has kind of fallen off of the pace a little bit here, Rachel, in the last couple of laps.
It's not just that, Will. Of course, Simon Povey's on a charge. Bullet Bassi's last lap was a 33.1. Povey 32.5, which is a qualifying speed. In fact, we saw slower in qualifying from some drivers. Simon Povey's on the run right now, and he's got that guy squarely sighted. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him looking after that third spot on the podium fairly shortly.
And also down the field as well. Look at this battle with a recovering Mark Mercer trying to claw his way through the field. You've also got Sebastian Job in this battle as well, with Robert Plumley in the yellow and purple 147 car, Alex Sadler in that number 16 car, which ironically enough, Rachel, seeing as we're in Japan, looks exactly like Taki Inoue's footwork car from 1995.
It does indeed look like Mr. Inoue's car, although the self-depreciating Japanese driver isn't here today. It's Alex Sadler.
They'll come down towards the start-finish line once again, as here you've got then Simon Povey getting himself ahead of Sam Bullet Bassi. So move Povey now up into 4th place on the racetrack. We'll get ourselves another look at that one, and it all started out of the hairpin. We'll have a look then, and you can see there that Povey able to get himself ahead at the hairpin. We'll wind that tape back just a little bit more But Simon Povey talked about him being on the charge, Rachel. He is flying right now. Got a little bit of time, though, 1.3 seconds to catch up now to the rear of Matthew Daniels. But I think he will be able to do that one before too long.
He will. Matthew Daniels last lap round ran about 6/100 slower than Simon Povey, which isn't a lot, but Sam Bulabaski was a whole second slower than Simon Povey, so that's exactly what happened there. 32.9 versus 33.9. Povey is obviously undamaged at this stage. Bulabaski is missing his front nose cone, so he's got drafty feet. But Daniels will be a tougher prospect. He does seem, though, to be having a go at that gap.
Well, we're going to get ourselves a replay of what happened down the field. You caught the very end of it. This is Chris Simpson.
Oh, Will, Carroll's back in the lead. We have a pass for the lead.
We'll come back to that one in just one moment's time. We'll get the finish off this replay first. And this is Chris Simpson going off the racetrack, as you saw. Side-by-side action with Mark Turner. Sorry, not Mark Turner. I take that one back. It was Mark Mercer as he worked himself through the field. There you can see him side-by-side. And then you had Alex Sadler just pushing very wide. That number 8 car, sorry, Chris Simpson pushing very wide on the exit of that corner. Almost hitting the Armco barrier. What we'll do is we'll stick it with this replay to show you Graham Cowell. He did just work himself back to the race lead, Rachel. And these two, now they've got enough of an advantage to the cars behind them. I think it's time that they think it's time to go racing.
Tom Ward's coming. Yeah, they are. They're racing hard, Will. Tom Ward's got the drafties coming for him. 130R's coming up for these guys. Ward's going to have a little bit of a nose to the inside. He'll probably tuck back in as he does, and he follows him through the corner. Can he hold that draft up to Casio corner? We're going to find out right now as Ward looks, he sniffs, he tucks back in line. Going to follow him through, but he's in the hunt, Will.
Yeah, and of course there are some very good overtaking opportunities on this racetrack. Your key ones are out of Denga 2 down towards the hairpin. You've also got into Spoon Curve, and out of Spoon Curve you can get a better run. Well, then you can set yourself up for a great battle through to the 130R. There you can see, by the way, Matthew Daniels is leading that second pack, and then that third pack right now is being led by that driver, Fahim Atanides, as the cars cycle through once again. But Tom Ward again closing back up as they work themselves down into the hairpin, out the hairpin. Now this is the corner that Tom Ward has struggled at a little bit today, and it is that chicane. As you can see, right-hander into a left-hand flick, then back into a right-hander, and you can see that time Ward actually very good for that sequence of corners. Let's have a look then and see whether or not he'll be able to get more of a momentum. He's got the overspeed, but he actually just cracks the throttle, stays in line as they come down into the Spoon Curve. So it'll be rather potentially trying to see whether or not he can get a better run out of Spoon Curve to then try and make that run down towards the 130R once again. As you can see there, the speed graphic still on your screen. Now at this stage, up to 100 miles an hour, it's actually Cowell's a little bit faster, but up to 110, it is Ward who's the faster driver. They're going to be potentially side by side. As you can see, Tom Ward will go to the inside as they work themselves down into the 130R once again, and there you can see Ward will make that pass complete. Pushing a little bit wide, Rachel, but no real issues. Tom Ward once again scored as your race leader.
Yeah, textbook pass, Will. In the approach to the Spoon, he cracks his throttle. He wants to stay behind Carroll as they run in through the first part and second part of Spoon, because he doesn't want to take it too wide. He wants that momentum, and he deploys it perfectly by just gaining that overspeed, tucking in, following him through, down to the inside, and he's practically clear of him as they arrive at the braking zone for 130. Yeah, textbook pass, and these guys racing each other very cleanly and very well.
Let's go back and have a look then at Sebastian Job. He's actually battling on Mark Mercer right now, and we saw Mercer a little bit earlier on coming down on towards pit road. He didn't get actually any repairs done to his car, but we'll have a look then. And you can see Sebastian Job, he was as high at one point as, actually I take that back, into that third on the racetrack at the conclusion of lap number 1. His last lap time was a 132.116, and get this, Rachel, that is faster than pretty much anyone in the field.
That is an incredible lap. That's exactly what these guys need to pull out. And it's just amazing what they can do in race conditions when that blood is up, that they just can't do in qualifying. And we've seen it from several drivers already going faster than their own qualifying times, but stunning performances all around so far. And as we see, Stuart Adcock has Bullock Bassi firmly in those sights, and he's going to have a look for that damaged Ferrari very shortly.
Yep, there you can see then as we have a look and check in at the gap between Simon Povey and Matthew Daniels, actually, because Povey is past Philip Bassi. It's Matthew Daniels who he's trying to catch up to now for the final step of the podium. Last time by, it's a 132.7 there for Daniels, a 132.5 for Povey, and actually behind there you can see Stuart Adcock does indeed get himself past Sam Bullet Bassi to move himself up one position on the racetrack. Replay of that one is coming immediately up on your screen as they work themselves then down into the 130R, and you can see Simon Povey, who's actually about 3 car lengths back as they work themselves down into that 130R, but right at the very end, that huge overspeed. Bullet Bassi just pushing a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, and that allows Adcock to find that inside lane and work himself down to the inside, and he does indeed complete that pass of Bullet Bassi. I'm just thinking Rachel didn't want to make a repeat of what he did a little bit earlier on in the race.
Don't think he did. He certainly took a very defensive line, or well, fast line actually through the corner in Casio, but wasn't quite able to actually predict what Adcock would do, Stuart of course, and just couldn't defend that position. Whereas it seems just been watching Simon Povey, Will. Just want to mention something for the viewers. Povey's a lot better in the slow speed corners we're seeing here at Suzuka West than Daniels. He seems to make most of his time in the slow corners, so the likes of Casio, the likes of the chicane, the likes of the hairpin, whereas Daniels a little bit fast corners.
Yeah, and of course there's not many settings that you can change on these race cars, but Povey's got the gap down to away for just under 4/10 of a second. Actually, he's closing up quite a lot in the draft as well. Last time by, a 32.8 for Daniels, a 32.6 for Simon Povey, as we have a look then from the rear of Daniels as Povey works himself down into the Casio corners one more time. So come out of that, head themselves through Dunlop curve back down towards Dengers. This is now our closest battle on the racetrack, although Carroll and Ward are still battling. The gap between those two drivers is 0.3 of a second, and here's confirmation then of that gap out front. You can just see it on the exit of Denger 2. In fact, Tom Ward is right behind as they come down into the hairpin. Will he do anything about it? The answer is no. And I think it's going to take a mistake from Carroll for Ward to actually try and slot that car down the inside, or doing what we always see these drivers do, Rachel, and you just wait until the last lap and you don't show your hand until you absolutely have to.
Well, I think Tom Ward has already shown his hand. He's definitely faster in the draft than Carroll, but he has to jump a lot sooner than he did on that lap, running into 130R to make the stick for the win. So it's going to have to be a penultimate lap move. Although their battle, which has seen them drop half a second to Daniels and Povey, Will, those two leaders could soon be in contention, defending their own positions, never mind going for the win.
Well, we know the gap right now between Tom Ward and Matthew Daniels is about 3.2 seconds. They can see each other. They are on the same straightaway as each other. As you can see, there's your front leaders. And now, just coming underneath the Panasonic bridge is Matthew Daniels. And he's got the car, of course, right behind him of Simon Povey as they work themselves down through the 130R once again. And that time by identical lap times for Daniel and Povey, 132.8 each. 132.8 for pretty much your entire top 4 drivers. Stuart Adcock in 5th, a 133.1 for him that last time by. Now with 4 laps to go in this event, and we still got Mercer and Job battling at the rear of the field. This is for P14, P15 on the racetrack. These guys, I think, Rachel, now just having a little bit of fun and trying to see as many points as they can get. And it does seem to be interesting that when they come up towards the car, they both slice through that driver like hot butter.
Well, I hate to say this, but they are both faster than the people they're racing. Considerably so. These guys are consistent front runners, and this mid pack is standing up to them about as well as the Chocolate Fireguard. They're not bad racers, they're incredibly good racers, and these guys are taking advantage when that less experienced driver in the mid pack is pushed out of the way or taken advantage of by one of them. The other one just follows straight through because they aren't closing the door quick enough, and it's seeing these two guys follow each other through the field. Currently sat in 13th and 14th, and with a couple of laps left to go, 3 laps on the clock I believe, they could gain a few more spots. Adam Dodd is certainly under threat, and potentially Peter Cohen.
Yeah, and if you can get to Cohen, that's probably about as high as they'll get, and then they'll be battling for P10 at the end of it. Just listening on board with Simon Povey, and he did actually slow that car down. He doesn't want to pass Daniels again either. And it's one of those things about these races, the psychological game. We've seen it a number of times at these big tracks and fast, long straightaways. As we can see, also Tom Ward still sitting behind Graham Carroll as we come down into the last 2 and 2/3 laps of this race. I think Povey wants to wait until the last second to get past Daniels, because he did tell Rachel that he did seem to be a little bit better in slow speed corners, although Daniels, we know, just a little bit faster, we think, in a straight line.
I don't think it's more the straight line, Will. It just seems that he takes the high-speed corners a lot better. So the likes of Spoon and Degner in 130R, he's just keeping a bit more momentum in those corners. Whereas he seems to struggle a little bit. We see, Povey down the inside. Can he make this one stick? Has he got enough room?
No, it'll be
neck and
single
neck. He
file
won't
into the
have
next
it
corner.
into this. Yeah, you're right, Will. He won't have it into the chicane. But that was a big hello, I'm here from Simon Povey.
Is it me you're looking
Certainly,
for?
well, it might well be you he's looking for, but right now he's looking for Matthew Daniels.
As he works himself down towards Boone once again. There'll be 2 laps to go. This time by out front, and still Ward leading the way from Graham Carroll. They can see that battle as we look back on board then with Tom Ward. They work themselves to get the 2-lap warning here at Suzuka. Gap between Ward and Graham Carroll, well, that one is a 1/4 of a second. But will Ward do it? He's going to look down to the... No, he doesn't. That's exactly what I meant, Rachel. I mean, yes, Carroll did stick his car in the middle of the racetrack, but Tom Ward didn't want anything to do with it on that lap.
Oh, Povey's going round!
And he spun that car, and is he going to miss it? I think he's missed everything there. Insane stuff. Simon Povey does miss everything, but he loses 3-4 positions, and it's one of the fastest spots on the racetrack. There you can see, I believe that is a number 98 car of Rafael, so Clark Williams and Draskes getting past. Replay coming up of that one, and what was going to be a fascinating battle for 3rd place is over, and this is going to be our look then at it. So hopefully, as you can see, Povey down to the inside into the 130R, just getting himself a little bit loose, somehow avoiding everything, Rachel.
Amazing driving there from Simon Povey. He just got so loose on the inside there of Daniels. He was clearly making his move, as we saw Tom Ward not make his move. Povey took down the inside, just tried to carry a little bit more speed than he wanted to, and that car just stepped on him.
He caught
amazing car control though, because well, on the entry, but he did later on. But amazing control there to keep that car drifting full opposite lock and spinning luckily to face the right direction in the end.
Fahim Atinides right on the rear of Sembulik Bassi as they work themselves down into, this is going to be Spoon Curve. We are going to get the white flag, however, ladies and gentlemen, this time by 1 more lap to go.
Adcock is out of fuel. Your Adcock is slow, massive slowness.
Yep, let's ride on board with him. I think he might have got a slowdown penalty. He is back up to full speed. There you can see him in that number 52 car. He is back up to full speed, but immediately we're going to have to turn our attention back as Tom Ward, looking down into the Casio curves, wasn't able to do anything about it. Now his only opportunity will be down into the hairpin. He didn't make that move down into 130R. He thought about making a move down into the triangle, and he didn't make it work.
No, he tried to go down the inside at Casio, Will, but he backed out at the very last second. He is looking for every opportunity now. This is not the patient man we saw, just sitting back, lifting off that throttle. Now it's do or die for Tom Ward and Friction Racing.
Yeah, and here you can see Graham Carroll will look from the rear as they come down into the hairpin. Just a couple of corners left to go then for Graham Carroll to hold on. We've seen this so many times in the Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Championship. Here you can see Tom Ward, the gap between those two drivers is 4 tenths per second as they work themselves out then of the chicane for the final time. Will Tom Ward try and have a look on the outside? He will go to the outside as they come into Spoon Curve, but it's going to be the long way round. It's going to be a photo finish potentially. Tom Ward, will he try and do the cut under? He's looking down to the inside. No, gets the door firmly shut in his face, and Graham Carroll now just has the hope as they come to the start-finish line. That start-finish line will come in time. You can see him going defensively immediately. It's going to be a photo finish, ladies and gentlemen, but Graham Carroll is just going to claim victory by 5/100ths of a second, and Carroll immediately blows his engine up.
He will indeed, as Carroll seems to like to do. He likes to replace his race cars fairly often. But Fahim Antonides taking his highest finish this season, Will. He is 4th place, beating Bullock Bassi to the line with a brilliant drive from him.
Yep, and there you can see then P4, P5 will get official timing in just one moment. But cars working himself to the start-finish line. Stuart Adcock classified in 6th position. Then Rafael Drasquez working himself past the start-finish line now. Just having a look at some of the other cars then at the rear of the field coming to the start-finish line. They can see Plumley. They can see a very slow Tim Adcock. He was very slow on that final lap, but he comes home in 17th place. Mark Mercer, well, he's had something happen to his car again because he's crabbing all the way back to the start-finish line. We'll get ourselves then another look at the final lap of this event, and we start with Tom Ward. We ride along board with him, and this is actually coming to the white flag, and we'll ride this one on board with Tom Ward again. What a great way to finish off our year on RaceSpotTV, Rachel. It came down to the final corner and beyond, and a photo finish. Confirmation it's actually 4/100ths of a second between Carroll and Ward here at Suzuka. And if that start-finish line was one grid stall further down, then Ward would have won it.
I think he would have done well. That was so close. That was amazing. And we expect these things from these guys now. Tom Ward, he had it set. He couldn't quite seal it, and he made some panicky moves in the final lap. Especially running out of the second part of Spoon. Just carried a little bit too much momentum, had nowhere to go, had to back off, had a bit of a wobble, broke his momentum. Carroll got away. If he hadn't had that, if he'd have just opened his steering maybe, gone a little wide, used that momentum, kept the speed up, I think he would have actually had him. But impressive drive from both of those guys today as well. Just to fill you in though, Mark Mercer had a heavy contact there in Casio with Sebastian Job on the final lap, damaged his left rear wheel, which had him drifting like the Japanese love.
Yeah, and we'll get ourselves another quick look at this one then, and we'll go back to have a look at that final half of a lap from one. This is, you can see side by side, almost there, coming out the corner. This is Mark Mercer, Sebastian Job working themselves down to the triangle, and then it all goes wrong right about now. Mercer turns into the corner. You've got yourself Sebastian Job on the outside, and well, 2 into 1 at that corner just doesn't go very well. And there's the contact. Mark Mercer, just the contact there, spinning him around, and well, that is his day at that point, pretty much done. And they can see just being pushed off the racetrack, and that is his car then substantially damaged afterwards. You see him pulling to the side of the racetrack. Job able to go through without any further incident. But we'll go back then and have a look at the final part of this lap, and this is themselves working down to the chicane. And actually we'll rewind that tape just a little bit further to go and have a look at what happened down at the hairpin. And this is coming down into that hairpin now, out of Denga 2. Now you can see Tom Ward, he tried to make a move, he wasn't quite close enough, and actually he lost momentum through the Dengas. If he was a little bit better through Denga 2, he might have been able to let down the inside, and that's just what Rachel said a moment ago. If he had just actually been patient with making his passes, we could have been talking about Ward as a winner. But now, you see, as he works himself, very good chicane actually for Tom Ward, as he works himself now. He tries to find that inside line. Gap's not open for him. Very crafty there for Carroll, works himself in the middle of the racetrack. But here you can see Tom Ward having to go the long way around, losing that momentum, then thinking, can I go down to the inside? And then has to back out of it at the very last second. Otherwise, he might have made contact with Graham Carroll. But then they work themselves to the start-finish line. We will slow it down and show you just how close it was actually at the line. Right here, you can see that actually he pulls alongside with 3 lots of pit stalls, 2 lots of pit stalls to go now. And well, Rachel, it was a lot closer. Now we slowed it down even further. And Ward, I make that just over half a car length.
Yeah, it was certainly a close finish and an impressive final result, Will.
Well, what an insane way we've had there of our final race of the year here on RaceSpotTV. And we will, ladies and gentlemen, run through your final race results then. And it is Graham Carroll who claims victory by 4/100ths of a second over Tom Ward. Matthew Daniels in third, 6.7 seconds back. Fahim Atinides in fourth. Sam Bullet Bassi in fifth. Stuart Adcock in sixth. Rafael Drasquez in seventh. Clark Williams eighth. Simon Povey ninth. And then Peter Cohen rounding out your top 10. On to page 2, and it's Adam Dodd, then Sebastian Job, Peter Newman, Adrian Bidwell, Chris Simpson, Robert Plumley, Tim Adcock, Mark O'Connell, Mark Mercer, and then Mark Turner. Very small field here today, only 22 cars. Everyone did technically finish the race except for Roderick Savidovic down in the 22nd and last position. Well, Rachel, crazy end to our year. Crazy race overall. And some very good racing throughout, really.
Yeah, it was. It was an awesome race. We saw the first of the non-UKI members join this race, Sam Bulambaski. Good pace from him, maybe some improvement in racecraft because he was involved in several incidents, not all of his doing, but he was a contributing factor. But no, in all, it's been an incredible race. We saw some amazing running up front, good timing from drivers, lots of tactics at play. Guys not wanting to pass too soon. We saw that at Road America, remember. But a worthy race to round out the year with RaceSpot. We look forward to race 3 of the season in 2015.
Yep, of course, this is the Season 1 2015 Championship. Don't blame us, blame Ice Racing. It's just the way it works. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a RaceSpot TV presentation of the second round of the 2015 Season 1 Club UK Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Championship. For myself, Will Vincent, and Rachel Whiteford, have yourself a great end to 2014. We'll see you all in 2015. Bye-bye. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to RaceSpot TV, because Fahim Atanides has decided to come and talk to us right at the very last moment. He forgot about my 5-minute warning. But Rachel, I will hand it over to you. Take it away.
Well, I'm here in the paddock with Fahim Atanides. He just stepped out of his Force India machine. Fahim, great result for you today. 4th place, your best result this season. Tell us about your race. I think Fahim's a little shy.
He's a little bit Finnish. Are we going to have to make up? Oh,
yeah, hi. I'm here. Had microphone problems, sorry.
Not a problem, no. Fahim, tell us about your race.
Well, it was quite uneventful, really. I tried to... I didn't qualify as well as I wanted to. I thought I might have had a top 5 qualifying time in me. I just tried to keep my nose clean and finish the race. This is a track that has been wrought with incidents all week. Everybody's been having lots of off tracks and accidents, so I thought the best strategy here today would be just to keep a quiet race going and see how far up the field I can finish without getting involved in any altercations.
Well, you did have a great race today, and of course you battled quite hard with Sam Burkabassi. Tell us of your fight with him. What did you think of the racing with him?
Yeah, he is quite aggressive, so I didn't want to fight too hard. I just thought if he starts getting a little bit too close, I'll let him by, and from there just follow his draft and see how far I could get. I was slow in the first half of the race, but the car started to come to me for some reason as the fuel load got lighter towards the end. And I did get a slowdown as well, which allowed Kem and Stu, I think it was, to get past me. But towards the end, the car started coming back to me, and I thought I could probably another 3 or 4 laps. I could have had a good result, a podium finish, but time ran out. Well,
there you go. For him, Anthony, just finishing 4th, a pretty good result considering the exciting race we had today at Suzuka Westwell.
Indeed so. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, that does conclude our championship. 1 minute. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our coverage of the second round of the 2015 Club UK Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Championship here on RaceSpot TV. Once again, for myself, Will Vincent, and from Rachel Whiteford, have yourself a great end to 2014, and we'll see you in 2015. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.